What's up, Richard? Timmers here. Now, with the new Naked Gun out, since the movie, of course, is like a follow-up to the Leslie Nielsen films, I decided to. I don't think I've ever done this before, but I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite Leslie Nielsen movies. Because I usually love Leslie Nielsen. I mean, yeah, some of his older stuff was way ahead of my time, obviously, but every time I do watch him, I always, laugh. I mean, he's done like comedy, he's done non-comedy before too. But the guy is always terrific. Like, he was always great. R.I.P. Leslie Nielsen. But here are my official top 10 favorite Leslie Nielsen movies. Alright, number 10, more of a guilty pleasure of mine. It's not really that good of a film. But I used to get a kick out of this when, I used to see it as a kid. Number 10 is Mr. Magoo. Based on the classic cartoon, Mr. Magoo, of course, follows Quincy Magoo, a nearsighted millionaire who stumbles into a jewel heist involving a stolen ruby. And of course, he bumbles through like a spy antics and chases, aided by his nephew and dogs here. He is like very lovable, obvious old man here whose near blindness leads him to chaotic misadventures throughout. You also have the likes of Kelly Lynch, Stephen Chbosky. You have Malcolm McDowell. You have some really great supporting players here. Of course, it was directed by Stanley Tong. He did a pretty interesting job. Stanley Tong, of course, did like a couple of Jackie Chan movies like Rumble in the Bronx, Kung Fu Yoga. So yeah, seeing him do like a film direct with Leslie Nielsen is pretty cool. So highly recommend that there. The cartoon is also classic as well. All right. Number 9 is more of a smaller role of his. Sadly, this movie was actually one of his final films he did before he passed. Number 9 is Stan Helsing. Here he actually you had Leslie Nielsen playing a character in Drags. He has like a quick cameo as Kay, this quirky character in a diner in like a bar type scene. And he really steals so many stuff. Stan Helsing follows Stan, a video store clerk played by Shameless star Steve Howey. He discovers that he's a descendant of monster hunter Van Helsing, and on Halloween, he and his friends, are trapped in the town, terrorized by parodies of horror icons like Freddy, Jason, Chucky, and all. It is a really fun one, worth giving a go. You had Keena Thompson. The girl who is the one of the hosts of the correspondent of the Daily Show, Desi. I forgot her last name, but she's also in this. It's a really hilarious one, worth giving a go. Leslie Nielsen's character is, again, he doesn't really have much to do. Like, he's only in like very few scenes, but it is a very memorable scene, if you will. And he does such a really good job here. Again, sadly, this movie was his final film he did before he passed away, and really showcased how great he was. All right, number 8 is of course superhero movie. Now, superhero movie stars Drake Bell, and obviously a parody of the Spider-Man movies. Leslie Nielsen actually plays Uncle Albert, who is, yes, a parody of Uncle Ben. And I love how they, instead of Uncle Ben being the one to get shot, to get killed here, it's actually the aunt instead, who is played by the actress from Happy Days. So that's pretty funny there. Of course, you have Chris McDonough as the Hourglass. Leslie Nielsen's scenes in this cracks me up every time he's in song. Like when he does a nail gun scene and to shoot the nail gun at Drake. Drake's Rick Riker, and obviously it failed. So he shot the gun at Kevin Hart instead. That cracks me up all the time. How did you do that? I mean, it's a really hilarious one. Really show, like, of course, obviously, Leslie Nielsen at the time was getting up in age, and it was really cool that he shows that he still has it, and still really hilarious there. His scenes with with Drake Bell, like his dynamic chemistry with Drake Bell's Rick, always hilarious all the time. Oh boy, he says so many stuff in this. I'm not gonna repeat, but go watch superhero movie if you guys haven't seen that. All right, number 7 is Prom Night. That's right, people. Before he did spoof movie like horror movies or scary movie, he actually did serious horror films, and that was of course. Now he also was in Creep Show, which he was good in that too. But I'm going with Prom Night, the original, starring. Of course, you have Leslie Nielsen who plays the school principal, and Kim's father, who's a stern but caring figure here. Of course, obviously you have Jamie Lee Curtis. It is a slasher horror film that follows a group of high schoolers, stalked by a mass killer during their prom. The original Prom Night is really fun. Really showcase like Leslie Nielsen did have some comedic humor in this, but obviously it's not like a scary movie type humor. It really shows that a lot of people always keep forgetting he did serious stuff before he ventured into comedy. And actually, this was around the same. Like, this actually came out the same year as Airplane, so that's something there too. But yeah, Prom Night is really good. Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis coming off of Halloween, you know, she was like obviously always a scream queen at the time too. So yeah, Prom Night definitely well worth watch there. All right, coming in at number 6 is the Towering Inferno. Another another one of like Leslie Nielsen's non-comedies he did. He of course plays the fire. He of course does have some minor cameo, minor uncredited role here as a fire chief. A far cry from his like comedic persona, and really funny that this is a disaster movie, and Leslie Nielsen will go on to actually star in a spoof of disaster, a spoof movie that spoofs disasters, which is Airplane. But yeah, the original Towering Inferno was a really good one. You also had O.J. Simpson, who obviously, yeah, O.J. Simpson will go on to do other stuff. But obviously O.J. Simpson and Leslie Nielsen will go on to appear in the Naked Gun together as well. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, the Towering Inferno is a really good one. A really epic, one of the best disaster movies there is. It's definitely well worth a watch there. All right. Number 5 is Spy Hard. Obviously a parody of the spy genre. Before Austin Powers made that more popular. This is of course I guess you could say that this is Leslie Nielsen's Austin Powers really. Where of course you got a secret agent Dick Steele, who as he's required to stop the evil General Reckner, who plans world domination. Spy Hard is a really hilarious one. Of course, a really fun parody of the spy Bond movies and stuff. Of course, you had like Nicholas Sheridan, who will go on to star in Desperate Housewives. Sadly, you also had the Yellow Ranger actress Tui Trang, the late Tui Trang from Power Rangers fame. She also appeared in this. The always late great Andy Griffith from the Andy Griffith Show. He had some fun moments in this too. The film was also directed by Rick Freiberg, who, of course, I think he's actually related to like Aaron Freiberg, who obviously do like epic movie, disaster movie, and stuff like that. Oh yeah, his kid is Jason Freiberg, who did like those epic movie, date movie stuff. But obviously, they'll go on to follow. Obviously will go on to follow in his father's footsteps and stuff. But yes, of course, Spy Hard, like we're still teens with agents, navigating absurd gadgets, villains, romantic, and stuff. It's a really hilarious one worth giving a go. All right, number 4 is Dracula Dead and Loving Us. This was actually like Mel Brooks's last directing film. He hasn't really directed another film since. But Dracula Dead and Loving It. You also had like Amy Yazbek, who was also married to John Ritter. This is, of course, a parody of the vampire films. And, the movie reimagines Dracula with Count Dracula arriving in England to prey upon innocent victims, and it of course did the spoof of horror tropes before like Scary Movie made that popular. and he is just like Leslie Nielsen as Dracula. He really did parry the Bela Lugosi Dracula perfectly. Obviously this is a parody of stuff like Professor like of Van Helsing and stuff, and obviously you also had okay, yeah, Mel Brooks also did a great job here. You also had like Harvey Korman, Amy Yazbek, Steven Weber. Some really great cast members worth giving a go. I mean, highly recommend Dracula Dead and Loving It. All right, number 3 is Scary Movie 3. Obviously, this is actually the movie that really made me be more of a fan of Leslie Nielsen. Because again, his spoof movies like Airplane and stuff was way ahead of my time. But it was really Scary Movie 3 that made me become a Leslie Nielsen fan. Obviously, a parody of horror sci-fi films like Signs, The Rings. Here, of course, you got Leslie Nielsen playing President Baxter Harris. I just love the scene where he ends up punching people in the Oval Office. That always cracks me up. Um, oh yeah, the one who plays like his Secret Service guy was Ja Rule, so that's pretty funny there. I mean, who would ever expect like Leslie Nielsen and Ja Rule having some fun comedic timing together? But yeah, he is just so hilarious in this part. He was also funny in Scary Movie 4, but nothing beats Part 3. He's just. Of course, he does have like a fun airplane reference in this as well. Um, and that's strange. You should see how we pee. And then he, of course, the scene where he actually, pees through his, fingers as well. This is just a lot of fun, worth giving a go. Yes, Scary Movie 3 is just a really good one. All right. Coming in at number 2 is The Naked Gun. Now, of course, obviously a parody of like the cop genres and stuff. You of course have Leslie Nielsen who plays Lieutenant Frank Drebin, and he is of course very clueless and accidental prone cop who somehow saves the lives. Yeah, of course you have like Priscilla Presley, O.J. Simpson, George Kennedy. It is a really fun one, worth giving a go. Of course, you have like it follows like Frank Drebin as he navigates on the plot to take out Queen Elizabeth II during her visit to LA, and of course he also romances Jane Spencer, who is also really like Priscilla Presley, great here too. So yeah, The Naked Gun is a really good one. Also, the late great George Kennedy is great, really hilarious. And the best Leslie Nielsen movie of all time, none other than Airplane. The movie that really like put him more on the map in the spoof genre. Follows like Ted Stryker, who's a traumatized ex-pilot who boards a passenger flight to win back his girlfriend here. And Leslie Nielsen does such a great job in this. We all want to wish you good luck. We're counting on you. Obviously, his iconic Shirley line, "Don't call me Shirley." He just has some really fun moments in this. There's some great characters, but no one beats Leslie Nielsen's here. Obviously, of course, have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is also in this as well. He just has some most iconic lines throughout. This marked like Nielsen's shift from dramatic actor to comedy, and he did such a great job. And hey, again, if Naked Gun does well, maybe we'll get a new Airplane. That could be pretty cool, but who knows? Anyway, that is, of course, pretty much it. Here is my quick rundown. All right, number 10, Mr. Magoo. 9, Stan Helsing. 8, superhero movie. 7, Prom Night. 6, The Towering Inferno. 5, Spy Hard. 4, Dracula Dead and Loving It. 3, Scary Movie 3. 2, The Naked Gun. And number 1 is Airplane. Now, there's loads of other ones I could add too. Let's see. Repossessed is actually more of a guilty pleasure of mine. Not a good one, but of course, Repossessed is like a parody of The Exorcist. Wrongfully Accused is a good one. Creep Show. Wonder how many people even heard of Spanish movie. Let's see what else we got here. 2001: A Space Travesty, a parody of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Let's see. Obviously, the Naked Gun sequels I could have added to. Um, I mean, he's done lots of dramatic stuff that I don't think I've ever seen. Oh, Forbidden Planet. I think he was in that too. I mean, he's been in some great stuff over the years. But let me ask you guys, what are some of your favorite Leslie Nielsen movies? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Timmy Saga.